Chinna. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Good morning to all the participants. So once again, we are going to continue with the type study of Anthoceros. So yesterday we have started with Anthoceros vegetative morphology, that is its habitat, what is the morphology, external morphology, and also the internal morphology, and also we have covered up to vegetative reproduction. So today we are going to start with the sexual reproduction, that is the sexual organs, what is the structure, fertilization, and the life cycle. So just I'm start sharing my screen. Yeah, I hope you all can see the screen. Okay, so we have done with yesterday the classification, that is Anthoceros belonging to, it is the only genera which comes under the class Anthoceratopsida, Anthoceratales order, and the family Anthocerataceae. Now, so as we all know, we just have a recap of this. It occurs also grows on the moist soil, and Anthoceros thallus also is a rosette thalloid plant body. It's going to have a wavy margin with dichotomous branching of the thallus. Next, most important point in this Anthocerosis, it is internally, that is in the tissue, in the gametophytic tissue, we are going to see the presence of mucilaginous cavities, that is the empty spaces filled with mucilage, in which we can see the symbiotic association of the blue-green algae, which is called as Xenoster colonies, are going to be present in that mucilaginous cavities. So that is an important point in the Anthoceros. And when we talk about the internal structure of the Anthoceros is not differentiated as the photosynthetic zone and the assimilate and the storage zone, just like in Markantia. It is not differentiated. The complete mesophyll tissue, we can see the presence of parenchymatous cells. In between them, we can see these mucilaginous cavities filled with the nostoc colonies. And all the cells of the thallus shows the presence of the chloroplast. Hence, the entire thallus of the Anthoceros is green in color due to the presence of this chloroplast. So there is no differentiation as such like dorsal and the ventral view. The complete thallus appears like a green in color. And from the basal point, from the basal lower epidermal region, we can see the development of the rhizoids. And these rhizoids, they are unicellular and smooth walled rhizoids. We come across only a single type of rhizoids in Anthoceros. Next comes to the vegetative reproduction. We talked about regarding the progressive death and decay of the thallus. The thallus on decay give rise to the new generation or a new thalloid plant body due to the meristematic activity of the wavy margins of the Anthoceros thallus. So that is also one important point. And by the tubers, we can see this is the most important part which we come across in the Anthoceros. The margins of the thallus shows the development of the tubers, which on detachment from the plant body or the thallus develops into a new plant or a new thalloid plant body. And the species like Anthoceros glandulosus and Anthoceros formosae, these are the one in which we can see the development of the gamecarps, on in which we can see the very peculiar cells, what we call it as the gemme, which are storing the food material and acting like a spore-like structure, which when they detach from the gamecarp, they will fall on the substratum, utilize the food material, whatever present in it, and develops into a new plant. And next we are going for the, today we are talking about the sexual reproduction. The sexual reproduction already I discussed yesterday, that Anthoceros plant, it can be a monoecious or it can be a dioecious. That is, when we talk about a monoecious plant, in the monoecious plant, we can see the development of both the sexual organs on the same plant. That is, Antheridia and the Archegonia developed within the same plant. And in the dioecious species, they both are separate. Male thallus is separate from the female thallus. Now, when we talk about the sexual organs, the male sexual organ, we call it as an antheridia. Now, these antheridia, they are embedded inside the thallus, and the two on the dorsal surface, that is on the upper side of the thalloid plant body. So we call them as endogenous presence or the endogenous development of the antheridium. Endo means what? Inside, inside the gametophytic tissue. Whereas in Markensia, we talked that Antheridia and Archegonia, they are developed on a stalk, which we call it as Antheridiophore and the Archegoniophore. But here in Anthoceros, it is not like that. They are endogenously developed inside the gametophytic tissue, and the two on the upper surface of the thalloid plant body. Now, so when we talk about the male sexual organ, which is called as antheridium, one more special character in Anthoceros is these antheridia, the male sexual organ, they are developed inside a chamber. We call it as an antheridial chamber. You can look into this one. Okay, the antheridial chamber, that is inside there's a cavity. Chamber is nothing but a cavity in which we are going to see the development of the antheridium. And another important point is these antheridia, they are restricted either to 2 or 4 per antheridial chamber. That is, the number of antheridia developed inside the antheridial chamber are, depending upon the species, it may be either 2 or 4. They are developed inside. And the complete antheridial chamber is going to be covered by a double layer of jacket cells. So that is a very, very important point. Next important point is the antheridia are stalked. They are club-shaped structure, and with the help of that stalk is a multicellular and it is attached to the antheridial chamber. Now, within the antheridia, we can see the presence or the development of androgonial cells, or we call them as androcyte mother cells, which will undergo division and develops into biflagellate anthrozoids. The androgonial mother cells or the anthrozoid mother cells within the antheridia, they are undergoing division and produce anthrozoids. And these anthrozoids, they are flagellated, biflagellated, that is they possess 2 flagella. And regarding the Anthoceros, these anthrozoids are spirally coiled. You can see here, these are the long anthrozoid which is spirally coiled. Okay, that is another peculiar character regarding the Anthoceros. So this is a complete antheridial chamber in the gametophyte, where you can see this is the stalk. Either 2 antheridia or 4 antheridia will be developed, and this antheridial chamber is going to be covered by 2 protective layers, or a double layer of cells are there to protect these antheridia. And these antheridia, they are stalked. You can see this is multicellular stalk, and this is a globose head region, this one. And this globose head is going to be covered by a single layer of jacket layer, and inside which we can see the multicellular gametophytic tissue, what we call it as androcyte mother cell or anthrozoids mother cells. These androcyte mother cell or the anthrozoid mother cell, it will undergo division and going to produce these haploid anthrozoids or spermatozoids, which are biflagellated and spirally called. So here you can see the anthrozoid is a spindle or it is a coiled structure which a bicellate. Bicellate is मतलब biflagellate at the anterior end of the anthrozoid. With the help of this flagella, they are moving freely in the water to undergo fertilization. So that is regarding the antheridial structure. Now we are going for the female sexual organ, which is called as the archegonia. Now this archegonia, they are developed or produced very close to the growing point. That is, they are developed very close to the margins of the gametophytic tissue. Okay, and these archegonia are also embedded. They are also endogenously developed inside the gametophytic tissue. And there is no such chamber in which archegonia are developed. They are simply get embedded within the gametophytic tissue. Now, when we talk about the archegonial structure, the archegonia is a flask-shaped structure. In Anthoceros, it is going to consist of a globose venter region, which consists of an egg, that is a female gamete, and a ventral canal cell, and having a long elongated neck, which comprises of around 4 neck canal cells. And on the top of the neck, we can see the presence of lid cells or the cover cells, which are also 4 in number. Now, these neck canal cells and the cover cells on the ventral canal cell, upon maturity of the archegonium, they all will degenerate, forming the mucilaginous cavity, or they are going to form a mucilaginous passage for the anthrozoids to enter into the egg cell present in the venter. So here you can see there is an all these cells. Before maturity, you can see the presence of these cover cells, these neck canal cells, and the ventral canal cell and the egg cell. But upon maturity, you can see all these cells, they get degenerated and forms a easy passage, or it forms a smooth mucilaginous liquid-like substance will be created here, by which the anthrozoids will enter into this venter and undergo fertilization. Next. So we'll talk about the fertilization now, that is regarding the antheridia, that is the male sexual organ, and the archegonia, the female sexual organ. Now, when we talk about the fertilization, so here the plant, so when during the rainy season, the plant body becomes wet enough. So that water, the water or the raindrops, whatever are present on the thalloid plant body, that makes the anthrozoids to move towards the archegonium. So that is very, very important point. So these anthrozoids, they first get attracted chemotactically, that is the mucilage. Mucilage is nothing but some of the chemical substances developed. That is called as chemotactic attraction. So due to that, the anthrozoids are going to attracted towards the archegonium. Now, along with that water or the dewdrop, the anthrozoids will enter into the archegonium through the neck, and then it is going to reach the venter and fuses with the egg, which we call it as the fertilization. So the anthrozoid and the egg cell, they both are going to fuse, they undergo fertilization and results in the formation of a diploid zygote. Now this zygote, it will increases in size and it completely fills the venter. That is, it will be developing within the venter itself. Now, so prior to the fertilization, what is going to happen here? The cover cells, they become detached, the neck canal cells and the venter canal cell, they become gelatinized. That means they are getting degenerated and producing a mucilage. And through the medium of the water, the anthrozoids are entering into the archegonium. Now, ultimately, what is going to happen? Only one anthrozoid will penetrate and it will fuse with the egg and fertilizers and results in the zygote. Now, what is the next stage? Now, so next generation, now the zygote, instead of developing into a new plant, again, that is developing into a new gametophyte, this zygote will completely uh, develops into the next generation of the life cycle that we call it as the sporophyte. Now, so here in the Anthoceros, the mature sporophyte is developed from the gametophytic tissue. Right. So you can see here, this is the zygote which is developed within the venter, which occupies the entire venter region, and it starts dividing and going to produce the sporophytic generation or the sporophyte. Now the sporophyte of the Anthoceros is a peculiar structure which is embedded, which is projecting outside, that is away from the thallus. So that is a one important point you people have to remember in the Anthoceros. The sporophyte of Anthoceros is coming away or growing away from the main gametophytic tissue. Okay, they are projecting. It is very, very long. The sporophyte is very, very long. It appears just like a, so you can see here, it is a very long structure appearing like a horn of the animals. So hence the name called as hornworms. Now when we talk regarding the sporophyte structure, the sporophyte comprises of three regions, that is a foot, seta and the capsule. Now when you talk about the foot, that is a basal part of the sporophyte, which is well developed and it is in the form of a cup-like structure. So this foot is attached to the gametophyte for absorbing of the water and the food region. That is water and the food. Now, when we talk about the seta, so here in the Anthoceros, the foot and the seta, they both are, there is no such differentiation as a foot and the seta here in the Anthoceros. They both will be attached together and playing a role of absorption and the same time conduction also. So whereas in Markantia, we have seen a differentiation of foot, seta and capsule. But here in Anthoceros, the foot region and the capsule, they both are attached with one another. But the most important point here is the capsule, which will be very, very long and coming, it is somewhat circular or a cylinder shaped structure coming out from the thallus. Now when you talk about the capsule region, it is very long, narrow and cylindrical structure. Now, the cells of the capsule are meristematic. That is, they all keep on dividing. So, due to this meristematic activity, the capsule region is elongated. It becomes so much long. Now, so within the capsule, we can see the central line of tissue or the central region of the tissue is represented as columella. So this is the region which is developed in the center of the capsule, helpful for conducting the food material throughout the capsule region, which will be absorbing the food material from the bottom or from the foot and the seta. The food material is taken up by the columella and it is conducting that food and the water to the developing capsule region. Now, next on either side of the columella, there is a very important point you people have to remember, that the region which is present on either side of the columella is called as archisporial tissue. Now, this archisporial tissue will develop and produces the spores. Okay, this archisporial tissue will consist of the archispore mother cells, which will undergo reduction division and results in the form of spores. Right. So one more important point I want to tell you here is upon maturity, always the maturity will start from the tip of the columella. That means it will be keep on drying from the topmost end. That is the maturity will happens in the centripetal direction. That is towards the downwards direction. That is the topmost cells of the capsule region matures first, it becomes dry enough and helping in splitting of the columella towards downside. That is toward the longitudinal. It will undergo longitudinal splitting from the topmost position to the downward direction. So as it is becoming very dry, okay, it is losing the water, so it will slit longitudinally, and due to which the spores are getting dispersed into the surrounding environment. So you can see here the matured sporogonium is always several cells in thickness. The outermost epidermal layer is cutinized, that is it is having cuticle, and even the epidermis is also having stomata. Now, the cells of the capsule contain the chloroplast, that is for their perform photosynthesis. So that is the most important point you people have to remember here is even the capsule have the capacity to prepare the food material on its own. So it shows only a partial conduction taken up by the seta and the food. It is not completely depending on the gametophyte. The sporophyte also is able to synthesize or assimilate the food material. So that is very, very important. In Markantia, the sporophyte is completely depending on the gametophyte. But here in Anthoceros, the sporophyte is partially dependent. Why it is partially dependent? Because the capsule, the cells of the capsule, they contain chloroplast. They have the capacity of preparing the food material and perform the photosynthesis. So it is not completely depending on the gametophyte. That's a very important point you people have to remember. Now the wall of the mature sporogonium, it always ruptures at the apex. So just now I told you, the mature sporogonium always it ruptures from the top or the apex of the columella by losing the water. It becomes dry, it becomes brownish in color, and it will start splitting longitudinally towards the downward direction, and hence the spores are going to be released outside or they are dispersed outside. So just you can observe this is the structure of the sporophyte here. This is a bulbous foot region which is embedded in the gametophytic tissue. So you can see here there is no such differentiation of seta and foot. Both are same over here. So about this complete region is a columella region. Sorry, this is a complete capsule region. And in the center, you can see here, this is the central region of the capsule, what we call it as the columella, helping in conducting the water from the gametophytic tissue. And this is the epidermal tissue of the capsule region. When the capsule matures, the cells of the gametophytic, this tissue, epidermal tissue, will transforms into archisporium or archisporial mother cells. So which on maturity, they will undergo reduction division and results in the formation of these spores as well as the elaters. Am I clear? So you can see here the structure of the sporophyte is horn shape. It is emerging or developing away from the main gametophyte. Now, so here you can see the longitudinal splitting occurring right from the apex, that is centripetally towards the downward direction. There will be a slit happening by which all these spores are liberated into the surrounding environment. So this is a transverse section of the sporophyte where you can see here, this is the columella tissue, central columella tissue, and these are all the spore tetrads developed from the archisporial tissue. This is a capsule wall, and this is an epidermis, cuticular epidermis layer. So this is regarding the spore liberation. Now upon the germination of these spores, it will give rise to a new thallus. So suppose if it is a dioecious thallus, two spores of the tetrad develops into male thallus, and the remaining two cells of the spores develops into the female gamete. Sorry, female thallus. So here we see about the life cycle of the Anthoceros. This is the thallus here, which is a monoecious thallus, where the antheridium and the archegonium, they both are developed on the same thallus. So this is an antheridial chamber. You can see the presence of a pair of antheridia inside the antheridial chamber. This is archegonium developed. Antherozoids, female gamete XL is there, undergo fertilization and results in the zygote. Now this zygote upon development results in the formation of this sporophytic generation. Now from these spores, the spore is liberated out and the spore will germinate and going to produce the young thallus again. So this is the life cycle. So when we talk about the life cycle of the Anthoceros, it is the diplohaplontic life cycle again. We can see the alternation of generation, that is gametophyte is totally different from the sporophyte. So it is called as heteromorphic alternation of generation, and the life cycle is referred to as diplohaplontic life cycle. So just I'm stop sharing here. So this by which here we have completed with the Anthoceros type study. So tomorrow onwards we are going to start with that another type study of bryophyte, which we call it as mosses or the polytrichum, somewhat advanced bryophytes in the Bryophyta division. So you can see the development, you can see the complexity of the tissues developed in the moss plants, that is in the Bryopsida class. So that from tomorrow class will start. So anybody wants to interact, please. Yes, anybody wants to interact? Any doubts, you can put it in the chat box so that I can answer your queries. I hope there are no queries or no questions from your side. Okay. Ma'am, will ma'am complete all syllabus of BSc Botany in this 45 days? I hope so, because we are going to have this in 2 sessions. Okay. So now at 11 o'clock and another session is going on at 12 o'clock, where the another topics are going to be covered. So the complete coaching is carrying out in 2 sessions. Hope after few days, even 3 sessions may also will continue. That is in the 3 o'clock session also. Hope so. We need to complete by 45 days. We are planning in such a way. Yeah. Still any more queries, ma'am? Right. So if there are no queries, yes.
Ma'am, some plants in bryophytes grows in terrestrial regions, madam.
All are terrestrial only.
Bryophytes, madam. Some are aquatic, madam.
Majority all are terrestrial only, but they grow in damp places. That is, they grow in wet regions. They are completely terrestrial.
Madam,
Okay.
in fertilization,
Yeah.
water is essential, madam.
Yes, I'm telling you, no, they are growing in damp. Damp in the sense wet regions. They always grow in the wet region where there is wet. They never grow just like our mesophytes. Mesophytes are what? They are completely growing in a land, completely dry soil. Bryophytes are not like that. They are growing in damp and shady places. Okay, damp in the sense what?
Okay, ma'am.
Wet region, the substratum where they are growing. The compulsory it should have the moisture over there. Moisture means water. Am I clear?
Yes, madam. Clear, madam.
That's why we call them as amphibians. They have evolved from the aquatic habitat. So they are not completely coming out. That is, they are not completely growing on the land where there is no moisture. It's not like that. It requires water and at the same time it requires land as the substratum. That's why we call them as amphibians. Okay,
Okay, madam.
right. So any more queries again? Fine. So if there are no queries, I can end the session now. Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow. చిన్న రికార్డింగ్ స్టాప్ చేయొచ్చురా.